Hey guys, welcome to Topical. Nate here, and in light of Lightyear coming out soon, I am reading negative reviews to some of my favorite Pixar movies and explaining to these people why they are wrong. But before we get into that, scroll down to the description box below. We have links to our social media accounts. Click on those, give us a follow. We also have links to our Coffee account, Patreon account, and there's a YouTube thanks button where you can donate to our channel financially if you would like to help us out. We'd really appreciate you. If you're not going to do those things, subscribe, like the video. Those are free, and you still get to help us out. All right, first up, we got Coco. Luke Y. Thompson gave it a rotten score on Rotten Tomatoes. Doesn't say exactly what the score was, but he said, I left Coco angry that its entire plot needn't have happened if the family had ever once acted reasonably or communicated properly. To which I say, Luke Y. Thompson, have you ever watched any other movie ever? Because lack of communication does drive me crazy when I watch people do it in movies. But like pretty much any rom-com ever, any movie ever, most things could be resolved if people just like had healthy communication habits. And also, that's kind of the point of this movie, is that his family is so entrenched in their culture and just like how you do things that of course they wouldn't. And that's like completely normal for many, many families across many, many different cultures. A lot of people grow up in families where people just like brush stuff under the rug, don't talk about important things. You just do what you do. You do whatever it takes to just keep things even keeled, don't rock the boat, keep the status quo, and that's how they do life. So I would argue that that is actually a fact that makes Coco an incredibly good movie, because in Coco, he breaks out of that. He goes after something completely different from what his family does and opens their eyes to the importance of acceptance and communication. So you're wrong. And I think that one's actually pretty obvious, and that was a really bad take. All right, next up we have Toy Story. Mikhail P. gave it a half of a star out of 5. So like 0.5 stars out of 5. And he said, worst film ever, but the best of Toy Story. Which already doesn't make sense, because it can't be the worst film ever and also be the best of a franchise that has 4 movies, almost 5 in it. That's not including, the shitty straight to Disney Plus or straight to whatever stuff. Regardless, Toy Story is very good. I definitely think that with like the quality that Pixar has put out over the last 6-7 years, I mean maybe even more than that, last decade, Toy Story has rapidly fell in the ranks of my favorite Pixar movies. That doesn't make it not a really good movie. It's got good messages. It has a great script. It has great voice acting. Giving Toy Story a half a star out of 5 doesn't make any sense, because what would this guy give The Room? What would this guy give Batman and Robin? Like, films that are just pretty objectively bad. So this rating is absolutely ridiculous. Next up, we have Julian Roman from MovieWeb, who gave Inside Out a 2 out of 5 on Rotten Tomatoes. And Julian says, Inside Out is a sad, emotionally loaded film that drains any initial exuberance like a faucet. Note to Pixar and Disney, please go back to making films that are more fun than not. I don't want to be bummed out when watching a kid's film. To Julian, I say, wake up. Like, this is the world that we live in. Some movies' purpose should just be entertaining. I appreciate film as escapism. Film is also incredibly important in teaching us lessons about life. It's why that I love movies so much. It's why we have this YouTube channel. So, complaining about a kid's movie, teaching kids an incredibly valuable lesson and helping them grow in their own emotional intelligence and health is a really, really bad take. And it's like, it's not even like you just didn't like a movie that I don't like. It's like you are actively saying, hey, don't make movies that teach us important things. Just show me flashy shit that keeps me entertained. And I don't care for that. And finally, we have Jeffrey Overstreet from Looking Closer, who gave Onward a C+, which I guess counts as a rotten score on Rotten Tomatoes. There's something about the character design, the voices, and the personality here that feels DreamWorksy. that isn't a complaint, or that isn't a compliment. I apologize. It feels sub-Shrekian. Um, it feels like you just have a hard time distinguishing any sort of like fairy tale slash fantasy type movie from one another. I don't necessarily disagree with what he's saying. Out of all of Pixar's movies, I think Onward, style wise, has a DreamWorksy look, but it's the same animators that have made every other Pixar movie. Pixar's animation style is starting to kind of get picked up by other companies. Even just like solo Disney animated movies now still have a very Pixar look to them. But DreamWorks just doesn't make good movies. Like Onward, I'm not saying DreamWorks has never made a movie that didn't have like a good message or some sort of like emotional element to it, but they definitely do not deep dive like Pixar does. And just because the whole like D&D fantasy type world thing isn't for you, comparing this to a DreamWorks movie based on what this movie is really about is just honestly insulting. But that's what I think about these reviews. Let me know what you think about them down in the comment section below. Scroll back up, hit the like button, and subscribe.
It's not a game, it's a